Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. A little bit of a different setting. We're outdoors. I want to try a few different things this week, but still keep it around the same type of content that I do. So for today's video, I want to talk about some of the data that has come out around the EV market and the car market in general, and especially in the United States, that just has filled me with a lot of thoughts. And I think the current state of the EV market in the United States is not great. And one of the main data points that show this is if you look at the data that Axios just shared recently, and it's something that I've talked about multiple times on this video, especially earlier this year, once Tesla announced their price cuts and they were eligible for the $7,500 credit. The average days on hand for an electric vehicle in the United States is currently sitting around 92, so close to 100, with many different models being well over 100. So the Mustang Mach-E is one that they've highlighted, great car, but on the dealer lots is sitting for over 110 days, and cars like the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6 and others are also experiencing the same issue. So now you have a sort of this narrative starting to come through that, hey, people don't want EVs, people are not switching over because of the lack of technology, or they're not, good for long distance trips because of charging. For people that follow the EV market are very well aware that when it comes to owning an EV, especially a Tesla in this situation, if you have access to the supercharger network, like companies like Ford and GM and others are going to begin having starting next year, then the long distance sort of equation of, hey, this is why people are not buying EVs completely goes away. So it becomes a question of feature set and how compelling it is for the type of car that you're getting. And I think the data, that specific data, what it really shows is that this overarching story that has been talked about in relation to Tesla and its competition, or in this case, competition, sad to say, is that if you can offer a compelling vehicle that's affordable, regardless of drivetrain, people will buy it. And I think the high days on hand inventory for the non-Teslas, as you can hear my dogs barking, is a direct result of the lack of competitiveness from Tesla's competitors, right? So in other words, Ford, GM, Hyundai, Kia, all these brands are not doing enough from a vehicle perspective to have people buy their cars, and that's why they're sitting at 100 days plus of inventory on hand. That should not be happening in a market where more and more EVs are hitting the road, and especially when you have cars like the Tesla Model Y being the best selling car in the world, period, as of the end of Q1, but likely also at the end of Q2, given all the data that I'm seeing. So for the first half of the year, the best selling car in the world is an electric vehicle. So if that isn't enough data that says, hey, electric vehicles are in high demand, I don't know what else is, right? So I'm not buying the whole, people shouldn't be buying EVs because they're not great. No, it's the other companies are not doing a good enough job of offering compelling electric vehicles that are affordable. And then the second data set that sort of ties to this, it's not specific to EVs, but it's more for the overall car market. 8% of the new cars sold in the United States, 8% are under $30,000. And so what that talks about is there is a giant gap in affordable vehicles, period. Doesn't matter if it's gas or electric. And the dynamic we're going to start having here for the rest of the decade, especially around this EV arena, is I believe that if you want an affordable car in the next 5 years or so, the shift is going to be more and more towards an electric vehicle than a gas car. And the reason why is as Tesla continues to pump out more cars with their scale, 2 million out of Austin long-term, 2 million out of China long-term, 1 million out of Berlin, close to 1 million from Fremont, 2 million from Mexico, 2 million from India, which is, something that Elon Musk has been rumoring about, I guess, if that's the right way of saying it. Then you have a situation where you're going to have an electric vehicle maker that's going to be able to manufacture affordable electric vehicles. And with the cost of ownership on an electric vehicle, with the electricity and lack of maintenance, the cost per mile for those cars are going to be significantly lower than their competing gas cars. And I don't care if it's a Toyota Corolla, which everybody knows is a phenomenal car. But if you compare that to, say, Tesla's compact car that'll be coming out here in the next couple of years, will likely start around $25,000 to $30,000. And then in the United States, you bake in the $7,500 tax credit, which you'll be able to take up front starting in 2024. So instead of getting it as a tax return, you get it included in your monthly payment, which is absolutely game changing. You have an equation where if you want to pay $500 out the door a month, you can only really buy an electric vehicle, not a gas car, because that $500 is going to include not just your car payment, but your electricity costs, your insurance costs, your maintenance costs, which likely there will be very little to none in that type of vehicle. So now you have a dynamic where you go from having almost no electric or almost no affordable cars today, 8%, to the only automaker that's able to make a affordable car being Tesla. And the reason why is if the shift to EVs continues, which I'm a huge believer that it will, given all the data we have around Tesla, and their ability to crank out high volume, low price vehicles continues as the AC turns on next to me, then the only automaker that's going to make an affordable vehicle is Tesla. So what that means for competitors is that if you want to be price competitive, then you have to make an electric vehicle. The problem is that outside of Tesla today, no one can make a profit really on an electric car, period. And we know this from the data that Ford has put out. You know, we've talked about that multiple times on this channel. And it only gets more difficult as you go down the price bracket. So when you get down to 50,000, it becomes harder. When you get down to 40,000, it becomes harder. When you get down to 30,000, it becomes brutally difficult, because what you really need is an insane amount of volume. Lots of volume, and the resources and the supply and the raw materials at a decent enough price so that you can make that profit. And that equation, as I'm sure you can see, unless you have invested years, if not a decade plus, of building out that supply chain and getting everything vertically integrated to get your costs down, then if you don't do that, you can't make an affordable car in the future. You just simply can't, as gas cars go out of favor. So what happens as gas cars go out of favor? The supply dwindles dramatically, and so it becomes a lot more expensive to build an affordable gas car, because you can't push as many cars through your factories as you would today. And so what that means is, forget an affordable gas car in the future. We're already at 8% of the market, but it'll be like 1% or 0%, because no automaker is going to want to make a car that they can't make money on. And that just doesn't make any business sense. You could almost make that case for electric vehicles for legacy companies now. I'm sure there's somebody in the boardrooms of these car companies or the management offices that say, guys, why are we still building EVs? Like, clearly people aren't making money on it. These dealerships have a 100-day supply on hand. Why should we make EVs? Let's just focus on gas cars and pickup trucks and SUVs. And there is some business merit to that, but the problem with that is that it's a short-sighted decision. It's short-sighted. It's not really looking into the future and analyzing the trends of where we're going. So, I don't know. It's some thoughts in my head right now with the current state of the market. There's an obvious and clear leader in the market, which is Tesla, especially in the United States. And then you have this dynamic now where every automaker is jumping on the NACS bandwagon, the North American Charging Standard, which is kind of, the legacy automakers are showing that they know what the customer wants. But in reality, long term, the cost equation is going to move away very rapidly from charging solutions, and it's going to go very aggressively into price. And no one can match price right now outside of Tesla. And this is before their compact car. So, let me leave you with this last bit of data. So we already know 8% of all cars in the US are quote unquote affordable new, under $30,000. The EV automakers, the legacy EV automakers, are sitting at around 100 days plus supply, days on hand, 92, but a lot of them are over 100 days. And they're not profitable making these cars. And Tesla, on the other side, is coming out with an affordable compact car that's probably going to start at $25,000 here soon. They're going to introduce their Cybertruck finally to the US market which is going to eat into legacy automakers' most profitable cars, which is the pickup trucks. And you have Tesla building out more and more factories to increase their ramp. So I don't know, something drastic needs to happen. And I haven't seen it. The NACS announcement is a good one, but I think we need something along the lines of we're going to stop paying dividends and we're going to pause all our gas car manufacturing and shift to EVs as quickly as possible. We're going to take $100 billion loan for the government. I don't know, man. It's just, I'm not getting a good feeling about this. When your dealership network is at 100 days on-hand supply with electric vehicles, and it's clearly not because people don't want EVs, because they do. Otherwise, the Tesla Model Y, again, wouldn't be the best-selling car. Then it means that your offering is just not that great compared to the market leader, which in this case is Tesla. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Just want to get this out. I'm going to do a few of these this week, probably into next week as well, just to switch up the content a little bit. Let me know what you think of this format. I feel a little relaxed. I don't have to worry about my studio, and hopefully it's good enough lighting, and we'll see how the iPad edits this. I'm going to try a few different things this week. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, throw me a like, and it'll help the YouTube algorithm show this to more people. If you want to support the channel, I have merch in the description below, as well as a link to AG1 Athletic Greens, which is a supplement that I take every single morning. Free vitamin D and travel packs with your order. And speaking of, I'm going to go drink mine right now because I forgot this morning. So, yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one. Look at beautiful green scenery here, in case you're wondering what I'm looking at. And we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.